Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV. Today is the second day here at PDAC 2023 in Toronto, and I have the honor to introduce you to Scott Melbye, the Executive Vice President of UEC Uranium Energy Corp. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. It's great to be with you at PDAC and to be talking about uranium and nuclear energy at such an exciting time.
It is, for sure. So, how was the first day yesterday?
Very good. We're certainly seeing a lot of interest in the uranium space, even hearing a lot of discussion on the sidelines in terms of small modular reactors, micro reactors for mining applications. So, yeah, it's really exciting time for nuclear energy.
Perfect. So the backdrop of UEC is here in our back, and let's talk about the market situation after 1 year after the start of the war. So how is it now?
Yeah, it's, if we didn't have the huge geopolitical turmoil of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, we would have had an incredible fundamental setup for uranium supply and demand fundamentals. We basically, through production discipline over recent years, we've worked down the overhang of inventories that have really been overhanging the market, and demand is now returning robust growth from large reactors, and then the beginning of the small modular reactors. But overlay that the appalling events in Ukraine with Russia, and it's really thrown a big variable into our market, where it's obviously highlighted the importance of energy security as really national security and not relying on one's energy needs from countries that might not share your values or interests. But it's also really putting a strain on uranium supplies, conversion enrichment supplies in the nuclear fuel cycle. Russia, as we know, is a very significant supplier of enriched uranium, 40% of global capacity. In the United States, it's more incredible that we get 20% of our enrichment needs in the United States from Russian supplies, and over 50% of our natural uranium needs are coming from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Russia. So we really fell into an over-reliance on that part of the world, and so there's a real focus now on uranium supplies from stable jurisdictions. That certainly sheds light on the value of North American supplies of uranium that aren't under the influence of Russia or China.
Exactly. And what do you think? Are new restrictions coming for Russia in order to get the market tighter?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've now gone 1 year past the start of the invasion. The United States very quickly banned coal, oil, and gas from Russia in the early days of the invasion, but we've yet to do the same with uranium imports. And the unfortunate fact is, I think it shows how dependent the U.S. is on Russian supplies, that there is a desire to shift away from Russian supplies. I think, from a public opinion and an ethical standpoint, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't want to move away from Russia. They just don't want to do it so abruptly that nuclear power plants in the U.S. are impacted. So, I think in the U.S. Congress you have various bills that are being introduced. The Biden administration's looking at it. I think it's safe to say we're moving past the Russian supply period in nuclear fuel globally. How quickly it happens remains to be determined. Probably will be solved by legislation, perhaps this year. But the fact remains, I think the most important signal is that we are moving away from Russian supplies. So Western uranium conversion enrichment suppliers like ourselves can make the necessary investments to really grow to replace those lost supplies coming from Central Asia and Russia.
Okay, wow. That's good. Then let's talk about your company. Let's talk about UEC. Over the last couple of weeks and months, you have published incredible press releases. So what's going on in the company?
It's been a transformational 18 months for the company with 3 major acquisitions. First, the Uranium One acquisition at the end of 2021. We clearly did not see the developments coming with Ukraine, but it was good to close that transaction when we did. It was a very positive development for folks in Wyoming, within our company, within our congressional delegations, local politicians, to see us essentially kick the Russians out of Wyoming and have those assets in American hands that can really develop those for the interest of our own energy security. So that had a huge impact in doubling our resources in the ground, doubling our productive capacity and number of projects that we have in the permitted projects in the U.S. Not to stop there, we made a very significant inroad into Saskatchewan with the acquisition of UEX, and then followed by Rough Rider, which was a very large 60 million pound deposit that we acquired from Rio Tinto. It's now had the impact of really tripling our resources in the ground, 260 million. It'll be more when we complete our resource assessment at Rough Rider. But also really quadrupling our productive capacity. So the real focus of the company now is two-pronged. Really develop out and build out our production-ready assets at our Texas and Wyoming hub and spokes. These are near-term ISR uranium projects with low capital cost, essentially existing infrastructure, pre-inflation infrastructure that we have in place in two of the best states in the U.S. for uranium mining. So we'll really focus on near-term production from there. We want to see the price increase a little bit more to more around the $60 level than the $50 level. Yep. But that represents our near-term production plans. But at the same time, we're developing out this production pipeline and development pipeline in Saskatchewan. And I want to make it clear, we're not just acquiring assets without any rhyme or reason and hanging them on the wall like artwork collection. We really have a focused plan for the eastern basin and western side of the basin to really develop and develop a core critical mass of projects that can really be brought forward and developed into production. Now, obviously, that's going to be at a longer, slower pace than what we have in the U.S., but a very significant commitment, and we're really thrilled to be in Saskatchewan. And we've been drilling out Christie Lake, our project that we have significant ownership, majority ownership there, and seeing very significant drill results, ore grades even as high as 60% over significant strike lengths. So very exciting times for the company, and it couldn't be happening at a better time in the broader macro and supply and demand picture that we see for uranium right now.
Exactly, and that's also a perfect conclusion for your company. So thank you very much, Scott, for your time.
Great.
And so, dear investors, you heard it. UEC is in a beautiful, really good shape. So everything is set up for being in production. Just the uranium price has to go up a little bit more, and then you will earn the efforts as an investor. So check out the company, and we will keep you posted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.